Hi there, my name is Wojtek Plowas. I'm a consultant at the Center for Offsite Construction and Innovative Structures. My main focus and responsibilities at the center include the research and development of mass timber systems such as cross-laminated timber, glue-laminated timber, as well as nail and double-laminated timber. At the center, we work closely with the industry partners to provide them with guidance on certification and introduction of mass timber products to the market. Our ultimate goal is to commercialize mass timber manufactured from homegrown resource. And the reason behind the research is that currently majority of timber used in the construction is being imported from abroad. Also, some timber comes with certain limitations, such as maximum sizes available or the presence of naturally occurring defects. In case of mass timber, this is not the issue, as the maximum size is only limited to manufacturing capacity, handling and transportation constraints. Further benefits of mass timber include the enhanced strength and stiffness as compared to sawn timber, as well as increased size and scope of applications and dimensional consistency. The term mass timber is used and denotes the family of solid laminate timber systems produced by connecting a series of smaller timber together to form larger panel or beam members. There are various forms of mass timber systems that are currently available on the market. This includes systems that are glued, such as CLT or glue-laminated timber, and those that are not glued, such as nail-laminated timber, and others that use moisture movement for connectivity, such as double-laminated timber. Mass timber systems can be used for a variety of applications. So, for example, glue-laminated timber is often used for post and beam construction, can be also used to form featured trusses as well as curved structural shape. CLT, DLT, and NLT are often used for floor, wall, and roof elements. In order to provide a comprehensive research, it is recommended to follow an appropriate research methodology. The research into mass timber systems starts with selecting the right product, its applications, and the manufacturing process. This step is followed by the preliminary investigation. This is where the researcher is looking at market, potential demand, resource availability, and the resource characteristics. The next step is to review of the current standards. This is to ensure that the product will be of high quality and will fulfill the requirements. This is followed by the pilot manufacture and a primary investigation, which is to do with the testing of pilot manufactured panels and beams. Step number 6 is design analysis. This is where the test results are being applied to real building scenarios. This is where detailing in accordance with British standards takes place, as well as performance modeling and identifying the best end use for the product. Finally, the last step of the research is to trial the product on the real project. Large amount of research is related to the preliminary investigation. This is where we are looking at more closely at the timber resource available in the UK, as well as its key characteristics. At this stage, we are also investigating market opportunities for each of the products and the capital investment needed to set up a manufacturing plant. Finally, keeping all of the above in mind, we are investigating the optimum lamella configuration that could be best utilized for the market. Our research activities are also often related to the manufacturing aspects of mass timber, such as providing the specification for the panels and the production assessment. This is to ensure that UK homegrown timber is capable of fulfilling the requirements set out in the recognized international standards, but also that is capable of forming a high quality product good enough to compete on the market. Perhaps one of the most important research activities carried out by the Center for Offsite Construction and Innovative Structures is a structural assessment and quality assurance. The assessments are often carried out by means of laboratory-based tests, which can be seen on the pictures. All this work is aimed to estimate the mechanical performance of homegrown mass timber, as well as its durability and potential fire response. The results obtained from testing and other assessment procedures are often reported and analyzed. At this stage, care is taken to ensure that reports and any other literature created in this process is of good enough quality to form a basis for the certification process. Finally, when enough research has been undertaken, the results and outputs from the work can be applied to the real building scenarios. Only by trialing the mass timber systems on the real project, we can ensure that the product under development will be fit for purpose. This slide shows you an estimated level of research carried out on each of the mass timber products manufactured from homegrown resource. Although a lot have been learned about the homegrown timber resource and the feasibility of using it to form mass timber products, there are still gaps, and the Center for Offsite Construction is set out to fill up those gaps. To show you how research was put into practice, I'll use this project as an example. It's a Tulipwood CLT project. So the CLT panel manufactured from a Tulipwood tree. Tulipwood CLT test program has been introduced to Napier University as part of the Multiply project. Multiply is an innovative demonstration project consisting of timber sculpture built from CLT, which was presented at the London Design Festival back in 2018. There's many parties involved, and Napier University was asked to carry out quality assurance necessary to ensure that the panels manufactured from timber that we don't know how much will be of good enough quality to be used structurally. So for that, at the center, we've carried out the grading of the lamellas, as well as assessment of finger joint strength and full-scale testing of the panels. So the first thing is to look at what actually tulipwood is, as it's not the type of tree that occurs in the UK. So we did some research and we found out that tulipwood is also known as poplar or tulip poplar, even though the tree is not related to poplars. It's found in northeastern America and some parts of China. Tulipwood, from structural point of view, is moderately light, so it has a low density and moderately low in bending strength. Because of its appearance, we found out that tulipwood is often used for furniture making, cabinets, and musical instruments. The question was whether the type of tree can be used as a load-bearing structural element used on a commercial scale. This is the question we try to answer via this project. So the aim of this project was to inform the client on fundamental mechanical properties of CLT panels comprising of tulipwood lamellas. For this purpose, a test program was developed. The test program was developed in accordance with a current CLT standard in order to determine those key mechanical properties. So the test program included first the assessment of the lamellas, the raw material used for the CLT manufacture. And to evaluate its properties, we've carried out a series of acoustic grading tests, bending tests, and tension tests. Once this was done, and we've learned a lot about the raw material, which is tulipwood, we moved on to assessment of full-scale panels, CLT panels made out of tulipwood. And for this purpose, we tested these panels in perpendicular orientation and in plane orientation. This is to replicate the floor and wall elements in the real structure. Lastly, we've carried out a series of glue line shear tests. This is to estimate the strength of the joint between the lamellas. I'm going to show you some pictures from testing. So the picture on the left shows the handheld MTG acoustic grader used to measure the dynamic modulus of elasticity or stiffness of the boards. The setup also included a set of scales, which allowed us to calculate the density of the boards. Knowing the stiffness and density, we have a quite good idea of what also the bending strength could be. The picture on the left shows the test setup for the tensile test. The purpose of this test was to check the strength of the finger joint. The question here was whether the hardwood, such as tulipwood, will be good enough quality and capable of forming a strong finger joint. So the question was, we didn't know how the glue will react to this type of wood. This picture showed the test setup for full-scale testing and perpendicular to the grain on the left. So this is to replicate the floor on the real structure, and on the right, the in-plane bending test. Lastly, you can see it on the left-hand side, is a glue line shear test. We used this opportunity to also check the influence of the primer applied to the boards prior to bonding. And on the left is the rolling shear test setup. Also quite important property to ensure the load transfer between the top and the bottom lamellas. So after crunching the data, we came up with the results, which we then compared to products currently available on the market. So in many cases, Tulipwood CLT turned out to be stiffer and stronger than the products available on the market, with the exception of the bending stiffness perpendicular to the grain or out of plane. But 11,000 newtons per millimeter squared, it's perfectly enough to form a structural element. So after evaluating the structural performance of the CLT made out of tulipwood, we looked at the production requirements. So those requirements are listed in the British standard. So here's some interesting facts I have extracted from the standard. So first of all, during the manufacture, the air temperature in the production facility shall be at least 15 degrees centigrade and 18 degrees during curing of glue lines. According to the standard, relative humidity in a conventional production process shall be between 40 and 75%. At the assembly, the moisture content of each board shall be between 6 and 15%. The laminations, all lamination used in the CLT should be planed before bonding. The planing shall be carried out not more than 24 hours before bonding. Glue line thickness of the glue applied to the CLT shall not exceed 0.6 millimeters or 0.3 millimeters if it's polyurethane adhesive. Glue line thickness shall be then checked with magnifying glass with accuracy of 10%. So here's some logistics. As I've mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, tulipwood is not native to the UK, so several containers have been shipped from the Washington DC and transported to Glen Almond Timber Company, who sorted the material and removed the defects, as well as did some finger jointing and planing and cutting to size. Once the board been pre-processed, we were transported 61 miles away to Construction Scotland Innovation Centre, who carried out priming of the lamellas, sorting, pressing, sanding, and lacquering. At this point, I would like to note that the planing shall be carried out no more than 24 hours before the bonding. So that proved challenging because the timber had to be planed early in the morning, so the lamellas can be transported and bonded within the 24 hours. Here are some pictures taken during the production. So upon arrival to the production line, each lamella was checked for the moisture content. Then the primer was applied. Primer is usually not the case when you pressing CLT made out of softwoods, but because we were dealing with the hardwood, the glue manufacturer raised some concerns which were to do with the bonding strength. So the primer, they recommended to use the primer. Once lamella has been primed, they've been positioned in the vacuum press, and application, the adhesive was applied, and the stacking began. And finally, the pressing took place. So Tulipwood CLT was pressed using Wojtek Funkhauser vacuum press. The internal dimension of the press, which denotes the maximum element size, is about 3.5 meters by 13 meters. Adhesive application spread rate of our panel was 170 grams per square meter. A vacuum pump applied the pressure of 150 megabars. Vacuum pump was then left for a minimum period of 300 minutes. So some small note that the minimum press time when bonding softwoods is only 150 minutes. So additional precaution was taken to ensure that the bond will be strong. Finally, some information about the multiply itself. So all together, 111 panels were used to put this structure together. There were 3 different configurations of the panels. So there were 3-ply panels, which were 0.6 by 2.7 by 2.7 meter for non-structural use. Then 3-ply, which is 0.6, 2.7, 2.7 for structural panels, and then 5-ply panels as well. The layers comprise a mix of 20 by 95 millimeters and 20 by 145 millimeter lamella for all panel specifications.